What's up, WedgKids? How y'all doing this Sunday morning? Hope you guys are having an awesome Sunday morning. Hope that you enjoyed worship this morning. Preaching and teaching from Pastor Dale. Were you listening in? Well, this morning, we got a new guest that's going to be joining us to do a couple of activities with us. Somebody you haven't seen in a little while, so I hope that you're looking forward again to who always is going to be joining us. Somebody different, it seems, every week. And so, without further ado, here's Miss Cassie from our 5th and 6th grade group, and she's going to be teaching us a couple of things today. So she's going to start off with our Connect, fun little activity. So hope you guys are ready. Here she is.
Hey guys, how are you? It's Cassie here. I've really missed being with you and I can't wait until we get back, hopefully really soon. So I have a question for you for today. If you could have any job when you grow up, what would it be? Really? So there's some firefighters and some doctors, maybe some veterinarians. My job when I was a kid was I wanted to grow up and be a lawyer. Now, I have a few prompts for you, a few ideas to think about, and let's see what stories you can come up with. If there's somebody in the room with you, make sure you tell them what they are, okay? So, first one, I dreamed that the sky was raining ice cream cones, and, but those are some really fun stories, so here's mine. I dreamed that the sky was raining ice cream cones, and we all ran inside and found the biggest bowl we could, ran outside and caught those ice cream cones, and we ate so many that we didn't sleep for days. All right, so second one. I dreamed that school had been canceled for the week, and all right, so here's mine. I dreamed that school had been canceled for the week, and we went outside and we played in the snow, and we made igloos and snowmen, and we had lots of snowball fights. I grew up where there was lots of snow, so here in Texas it might be a little different. Right, here's another one. I dreamed that I had a pet dinosaur, and okay, so here's mine. I dreamed that I had a pet dinosaur, and he roared so loudly that he scared off all my neighbors until they realized he was really friendly. Okay, here's another one. I dreamed that I found a doorway that led me to another world, and what'd your world look like? Were there unicorns and rainbows? Were there dinosaurs? Maybe some spaceships? Or maybe a room full of books? All right, here's another one. I dreamed that my shoes were made of springs, so I bounced everywhere I went, and did any of you guys bounce across the room? Or maybe all the way to Paris and up the Eiffel Tower? Or across the ocean? Ooh, that might be hard to bounce across, but that would be interesting. All right, here's another one. I dreamed that I was on a spaceship headed to Mars, and what'd you find on Mars? Were there aliens? Or were there people that looked like us? All right, here's our last one. I dreamed that I was sailing to Brazil on a boat, and what'd you encounter on the way? In my dream, I dreamed that I was sailing to Brazil on a boat, and we made it through a hurricane, and then on the other side there were lots of dolphins, and they were just going everywhere. And as we were going along, we saw a shark way out in the water. And then when we got to Brazil, we had some of the best food ever.
Know therefore that the Lord your God is God. He is the faithful God, keeping his covenant of love to 1,000 generations of those who love him and keep his commandments. Deuteronomy 7:9.
I've got joy down in my soul. I'm gonna let this feeling take control. Joy down in my soul to stay, and nothing's gonna take it away. Joy down in my soul. I'm gonna let this feeling take control. Whatever comes my way, I'll be okay. 'Cause I've got joy. Oh, I've got joy. soul to stay, and nothing's gonna take it away. Joy down in my soul, I'm gonna let this feeling take control. Whatever comes my way, I'll be okay, 'cause I've got joy. Oh, I've got joy.
Know therefore that the Lord your God is God. He is the faithful God, keeping his covenant of love to 1,000 generations of those who love him and keep his commandments. Deuteronomy 7:9.
Hey Wedge Kids, so last week we were learning and talking about Jacob and Esau and their father Isaac. So this week we're just picking up with just Jacob, and now he's become the father of a bunch of children. And so behind me I have, here is Jacob right here, big father, and then all these are his sons. So how many sons does he have? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He has 12 sons. That's a lot. That's a lot of sons. That's a lot of boys roughhousing and fighting and wrestling and who knows what else. But he had a lot of sons. And when you have a lot of sons, man, do they kind of just get frustrated and wrestle, and they love to roughhouse. And so Jacob and his son, he would send his sons out to do different things. And so he had most of his sons out taking care of the animals out. But Joseph was one of his favorite sons. He loved Joseph. He loved Joseph so much, I'm going to show you what he did. Let's just say this is Joseph way down here on the end. So he did this. He goes, hold up, bear with me a minute. Here we go, let's see. He goes, making a coat. You all know Joseph had a coat? Let's see, let's put some black streaks in it. I don't know if you like my coat. Here we go. Boom. Alright, so here's Joseph down here, and he made a coat of many colors for Joseph. And so Joseph had this special coat, but did anybody else have a special coat? No. So it kind of made the other brothers a little jealous. And then in our story, as we continue in Genesis 37, 38, some of these 39 through even Genesis 50, it's about the story of Joseph. And so what happened with Joseph is he's out with his coat of many colors. Maybe he goes to visit his brother, and he's talking about how great it is to have this coat of many colors. But then he also has this ability given by God to be able to interpret dreams. So he has dreams, and he is able to interpret them for a meaning that God has given him. And so he started telling his brothers about some dreams that he had in chapter 37, Genesis 37, and they got angry at him. They didn't want to hear his dreams. They didn't want to see his coat of many colors. You know what they did? They threw him in a hole. And then here comes some guys traveling through, and all these brothers have said, you know what? Oh, here, hold up. I gotta put, he's in a hole. This is a hole. They threw him down in the hole, and he's in a hole. So these guys come traveling by. Let's go. This is our path. And let's just say it's like a little, I don't know. It's a cart pulled by a horse. Can I draw a horse good or what? And then he's got a tail. So anyways, here comes these guys on a cart, and or maybe some horses or whatever. So his brother's so mad at Joseph, they're like, let's sell him to this guy, these people, and let him take him off. And so that's what they do. Brothers don't like him talking about dreams. They don't like him talking about his coat, how much his father loves him. So they sell him to these people that carry him off. And they carry him off to a man named Potiphar, to his house. to be a servant there and to work. And so Joseph goes from being the favorite son among a bunch of sons to being sold into slavery and working and having to work for everything. But God also loves Joseph. And so God takes care of Joseph and gives him the ability to be praised in his house, Potiphar's house. And so Joseph works so hard and does a good job that Potiphar gives him kind of the leading role of the house. You can take care of everything. You're in charge of everything in my house. And this takes some time, but Joseph just does a good job. God blesses what Joseph does, even though he's away from his family and he was sold into slavery. But Joseph runs into a lot of different circumstances. Potiphar's wife tries to trick him one day in chapter 39, and he has to run from her because she's trying to trick him into doing things wrong. And even though he runs and doesn't do the wrong thing with Potiphar's wife, she still claims that he did. And so he gets thrown into prison. And that's really kind of sad because he hadn't done anything wrong. He was innocent. But he was thrown into prison. And God continued to be faithful to Joseph. And so then in the prison, he works his way up to be able to be respected there. And even one night, he has dreams from other people that he interprets. And so he interprets some dreams for a cupbearer and for a baker in chapter 40. But Pharaoh, many years later, Joseph's been in prison and been there with Potiphar for a long time. But what happens is there's a change between Potiphar and maybe a new Pharaoh comes. And so here, this Pharaoh, this new person, has a dream. And no one can interpret it. No one can interpret it. He calls everyone in. He's like, I need to know the meaning of this dream. It means something. And so what's interesting is one of the guys from the jail remembers, hey, there's this man down in the jail that interpreted a dream correctly for me. You might want to check him out. And so, of course, the Pharaoh calls for Joseph, calls him up and says, hey, here's my dream. And so I want you to interpret it. So this is a really weird dream. And I'm going to read it from chapter 41, Genesis 41. It says, Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, In my dream I was standing on the bank of the Nile River, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the grass. And after them 7 other cows came up, and they were scrawny, they were tiny, they were thin, they were very ugly and lean. I had never seen such ugly cows in all the land. The lean, ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that had come first. But even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had eaten them. They looked just as ugly as before. And then I woke up. So that was the Pharaoh's dream. And he's like, hey, what does this mean? Joseph, can you interpret it? So Joseph seeks the Lord and says, God, would you give me favor and tell me what this means? And so God explains the dream to Joseph, and Joseph's able to go back and say, this is what it means. It means there's going to be 7 years of plenty. Everybody's going to grow lots of grain. You're going to have lots of things. But then after that, it's going to become 7 years of famine. And everything's going to go away. A famine is when you just don't have crops. You don't have very much of anything. Kind of like the cows. This second set of cows were ugly, lean, not much to them. Even though they ate up the bigger, fatted cows, it didn't change. That's kind of what happens in a famine, is everything is just eaten up, and it's like you have no food. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced that, where maybe at the end of the week after you've gone grocery shopping, that might be an example where you just have no food. But this was for 7 years. That's a long time. 7 years of just a famine in the land. And so Pharaoh's like, so what are we going to do? And Joseph, gives them a plan. Like, hey, during these first 7 years, store up, and save and have a surplus. And then as you go through the famine of the next 7 years, you'll have stored up stuff. So Pharaoh says, sounds like a good plan, and I want you to do it, Joseph. You've interpreted the dream. I want you to be in charge. And so Joseph becomes in charge of this huge task, right? Of saving up grain, saving up food in a storehouse waiting for when the 7 years of famine are going to come. And so all this takes place. And then the 7 years start. The first year of the famine starts. And we still got, here, let's erase this. Joseph's gone. That's not very good erasing. Joseph's gone, but we still have Jacob and all 11 sons. Okay? And one of his sons became his, his favorite after Joseph left, and he thought Joseph had died. And his favorite son was named Benjamin after this. He was the youngest, very young son. And so he had Benjamin, Joseph's gone, and all the other brothers still left. And so they're eating up a lot of food where they are in Canaan. And they hear about over in Egypt with Pharaoh, they had saved up and have surplus, and they're actually selling it. So they travel over. Jacob sends some of his sons to travel over and see if they can buy some of this grain, food, something to make food for their land. And so when he travels over, Jacob sees his brothers coming and recognizes them, even though it had been many, many years later. Very interesting. And so he kind of tricks them a little bit and makes them bring back their father, makes them bring Joseph. And so when they come back a second time, that's when he reveals himself to them and says, "Hey, I'm Joseph. God took care of me. Even though you meant harm for me, brothers, God had a greater plan. Even though I was in prison for a while, I was sold into slavery, all these bad things happened. I continue to be faithful to God, and God was faithful to me. And then here I am in charge of all of the land, all of the grain." And so what's great about it is Joseph was able to take care of his dad until his dad passed away, and then all of his brothers and their families were able to stay with Joseph there when they had plenty in their land. And what was interesting is Joseph forgave his brothers and was able to love them and take care of them. And I think that that's an interesting thing that a lot of people aren't able to do. Think about that. If your brother or your sister sold you into slavery, and then after you were sold into slavery and became a servant, then at some point you were doing well, then you got thrown into jail for many years, and then, tricked by Potiphar's wife. All of these things were happening to Joseph, and yet he remained faithful to God, and then at a later time was able to forgive his brother and sister. Would you be able to do that? What do you think? That's a hard thing to forgive. But that's kind of the story of Joseph. And Joseph leaves a legacy of being faithful to God through trials, through slavery, imprisonment. Somebody tricked you and claimed that you did something when you didn't. And Joseph became a man that was faithful to God during this time it's from Genesis 37 all the way to Genesis 50. So if you have a chance to look at it, it's very, very interesting. And what's even more interesting is Genesis chapter 50 is the last chapter in the book of Genesis. So Joseph completes the first book of the Bible. And that's how it ends in chapter 50, is how Joseph passes away and goes to heaven as a faithful man of God that followed God and lived for Him. And so that's kind of our story for this week. We're going to be talking more about it on Wednesday night. So I hope you'll chat with your parents a little bit, maybe read through Genesis 37 through 50 and just see some of the other details that I wasn't able to share with you this morning. Let me pray with us and then we'll move on. God, thank you so much for this day that we were able to just read your word, to hear about Joseph, how faithful he was through trials and through difficult times. Maybe some of our WedgKids are having a hard day today or have this week. And God, they just weren't reminded that you're faithful and you're willing to love us, forgive us, even when we make mistakes, or you're with us even through difficult times of life. So God, I pray for them today that you would be with them, encourage them, and strengthen them, and let them know that you are real and that you love them. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. See you a little bit later on.
And even when it's hard for me to see, I will trust in you, I will believe. And even when it's hard for me to see, I will trust in you, I will believe. looking to you for where I'm going, knowing you go there too. I'll keep on looking to you. I'll fix my eyes on you. You are my you are my you are my I fix my eyes on you, oh yeah, Woo! You ready? Come on, let's go. Hands in the air, I know you're there, anywhere, I fix my eyes on you, Hands in the air, I know you're there, anywhere, I fix my eyes on you, and keep on looking to you for where I'm going, knowing you go there too. I'll keep on looking to you. I'll fix my eyes on you. You are my you are my you is you are my kiss. I fix my eyes on you.
Joseph went through many ups and downs throughout his life. He was sold into slavery, but then he became the head of Potiphar's household. And then after some time, he was thrown in prison. But then he became the boss of the prison. And because God had given him the ability to interpret dreams, he became second in charge of the land at the time that they needed it most to prepare for the famine. God is so good. Because of his position, because God put him in those places, he was able to ensure that his family had food, and the lineage of the Redeemer survived the famine. Through all of the difficult things Joseph experienced in his life, he became someone who depended on God. In our lives, we've had a lot of uncertainty and a lot of difficult things lately. Imagine your own time, your own family, through being at home, not being able to go to school and see your friends, and it being a sudden thing. But God is there. Through these times, we learn to trust in God. And obeying God through everything, we also learn that. So let's take a few minutes and think about the ways that God has provided for you and that he's blessed you, and the ways that you've learned to rely on him. Get a piece of paper and a pencil or some markers and either write it out or draw a picture of the blessings that God has given you. Has he provided food for you when you've needed it? He's provided your house. Have you been able to see your friends through Zoom, even though you haven't been able to see them in person? Have you been able to go to drive-by birthday parties and celebrate with friends? Just take some time and think about those, and think about things you've learned about your family and how your family has grown closer together.
Before we wrap up this morning, I thought this would be a fun thing. So from a couple Wednesday nights ago, we played this game called Code Breaker, and we left off with number 5. So I thought maybe we could pick up with number 6. So if you want to, we're going to look here real quick at number 6 and see how it is. So first question is the number of European countries south of the equator. What is that number? It goes right here. The number of Toy Story movies. That goes right here. And then the third one is the number of planets in the solar system. How many planets are in the solar system? That number should go right here. Do you guys know the number to unlock? What is? Y'all got it? How many? The number of European countries south of the equator. Man, I don't know. What do y'all have a guess? Got the number of Toy Story movies. Is it like 4 or is it 3? 3 or 4, I think. Let's figure it out. Here's the answer. Ooh. 0, 4, 8. Did y'all get it right? Alright, so let's check out the next one. The number of wives Henry the 5, 6, 7, 8 had. Henry the 8th. So number of wives Henry the 8th had. You shouldn't have more than one wife, right? The number in this band, blank inch nails. It's 4 spaces though. So 4 spaces. You'll see that? And then the number on a phone that also stands for MNO. Dude, I don't know if y'all have looked at a phone lately. It doesn't have that anymore, but old school phones had ABC on number 1. And then DEF was on number 2. So that gives you a hint. Where would M, N, and O end up? So that should be the 3rd number. What is this? The number in this band is something inch nails. Do y'all guys know that? But it's 4 letters for this number. So what could that be? That could be 4, could be 5, can't be 6, can't be 7, can't be 8, could be 9. So 4, 5, 4, 5, or 9 is your guesses, right? Y'all want to find out what the answer is for this? Henry VIII had how many wives? Let's just get, again, he should only have 1, but how many did he have? Let's see. Whoa! 696. That means he had 6 wives, 9-inch nails. We did guess that was one of the options. And then number 6. Alright, so here we go. The next one, 3rd one for us today. The number of rings in the Olympic logo. Do y'all remember the Olympics, the logo? How many rings does it have? Hydrogen's atomic number. Some of y'all might probably know that. The number of Oscars that Leonardo DiCaprio has won. Do y'all know who Leonardo DiCaprio is? He's an actor. So guess how many Oscars has he won? The number of Olympic rings in the Olympic logo. I'm going to guess like 5. Is it 5? I think it's like 5. I don't know the hydrogen's atomic number. Is that 2? 6? I don't know. Let's guess. Are y'all ready? 5, 2, and I'm going to guess 5 again. 525 is my guess. Y'all have yours? Here we go. Whoo! 511. Man, I was wrong. I didn't know. Did y'all know? 511. Alright, next. The number of branches in the U.S. government. How many branches of government are there in the United States government? Some of y'all know that. The number of Great Lakes. Dude, I think there's only 2, or is there 3? Or is there more than 3? That's hard. The number of kids Kanye West has. Do y'all know who Kanye West is? He's recently become a Christian, he says. That's really cool. But I don't remember if he has 2 or 3 or more kids. I have no idea. So it seems like we're going to have to guess at some of these. Branches of government, is there 4? Or 3? 3 or 4? That's my guess. Let's go 3, 5, 5. 3, 5, 5 is my guess. Do y'all have your guess? Here's the answer. Ooh, 3, 5, 4. I was so close. 3, 5, 4. Did y'all have that? Here we go. Number of stages in the water cycle is the first answer. The number of stages in the water cycle. The number of states that start with M. How many states start with M? Michigan? Montana? I don't know. That goes right there. The number of letters in the name is the same as the number of the month. Ooh, check this out. Can I give you a hint real quick? Here's my calendar. The number of letters in the name is the same number of the month. Oh man. Shoot. The number of letters, so it's gotta be like June, maybe? I don't know. Dude, that's a hard question right there. Do y'all have the answer? What do you think it is? Now, what's the number to put there? How many stages are in a water cycle? The first one. Y'all got your answer? I'm ready to give you the answer. Here it is. 489. 489. Dude, I was totally wrong about the month. Man. How about that? 489. So that's our game for today. That's our video for today. And I hope you guys have had a wonderful time with us and Miss Cassie. And again, have a great Sunday, and we'll see you on Wednesday, either on campus or online.